Okay, and welcome to our webinar 2 in the Transition Tuesday series. I do see that there's about 54 of you on with us today. We're really glad to have you. This series was designed to continue the momentum of the 2020 PA Virtual Community on Transition Conference. These sessions were to be offered at the conference, but of course, due to the pandemic, they were not. The Pennsylvania Community of Practice on Transition is pleased to feature the following webinar, opportunities designed for youth, families, and professionals in the areas of employment, family engagement, post-secondary education, youth engagement, and social and emotional health. Today's session will introduce all audience members to the PA Family Network. They will discuss who they are, what they do, how families can benefit from their free services, and how professionals can refer families to their service. They will also, for the first time, roll out the Good Life Group Initiative. And a copy of the handouts, Hillary also put this in the chat, the handouts for today can be found on the patent training calendar for today's event under event files. Today's presenter, we were to have presenters, but we just have one now, is Francine Hogan from the Pennsylvania Family Network. And again, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Ronnie Russell from the Patent Harrisburg office, and I'm glad to have all of you here today. You will see on the screen that the patent's mission, if you've been to other patent trainings, is the mission is to support the efforts and initiatives of the Bureau of Special Education and to build the capacity of local education agencies to serve students who receive special education services. Our commitment is always to ensure that students with IEPs begin with the general education setting with the use of supplementary aids and services before considering a more restrictive environment. So the least restrictive environment is our goal. So with that, Francine, we're going to turn it over to you, and I believe screen share is available to you. So thank you and welcome for being, or thank you for being here, and you're more than welcome to start.
Thank you so much for having me. Let's see if we can get this screen shared without too much technical difficulty, of course.
See it, Francine, so you're good.
Perfect. So let's get in there. Great. So I'm Francine Hogan. I am the director of the PA Family Network, which is a project of Vision for Equality and the Office of Developmental Programs. And we're just going to really do a brief overview today. And we're going to try to get a lot of information into a very short period of time, but we are available to you, and that's the most important thing that we want to get across today. This is my son, Michael. So I am the director of the project, but first and foremost, I'm the mother of a young man that's going to be 21 in 2 weeks, which is really hard for me to swallow. Michael has a great life. He has transitioned beautifully, and he's really an important part of his community. He is out and about and living life. He has sold some artwork that he's done. He works a couple of hours a week in a pizza shop. He spends a great amount of time at the gym working out. And you can see Charlie Brown there on the lower right. Michael is not dirty there. He is playing Pigpen in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at a community theater. What this slide does not say is that Michael is a pretty significantly challenged young man. He has autism. He experiences an intellectual disability. He has Tourette's syndrome, and he is not functionally verbal. So his functional language is really difficult for him. So he gets past all that, and he's just a wonderful part of his community, and he's living a life that I'm really proud of him for. So I want to start there because we're going to talk a lot about this today. So let's see. So I want to talk today a little bit about transformational change, change that is really important as we look at our transition from school to adult life. I think that there's a lot of things that happen during our school years that some real transitional and transformational thinking has to occur before we really transition out. We're going to talk a little bit about the life course framework and tools, which is planning tools that we use for person-centered thinking and person-centered planning to help students with that plan. We're going to talk about the importance of a vision. We can't experience that transformational change and we can't plan until we have a vision and something to shoot for. We are going to talk about how we can engage a team approach to this kind of planning. And whatever your role, how you can use this approach and how we can help you to use this approach. So we're going to have some time at the end for some questions. So jot them down or put them in the chat box as we go. So this is our core belief. And actually, this is the core belief of the National Community of Practice for Supporting Families. And it's that all people and their families have the right to live, love, work, play, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. Nowhere in there does that say anything about disability. Everybody should have that opportunity. And I think that sometimes in school, that's not something that we're told. I think sometimes in school, we are given very narrow paths to follow and very few choices. So this is something that is really important to keep in mind as you're thinking about the plan, as you're thinking about transition, as you're thinking about what the rest of life could look like. And both for your student and for a family. Everybody should have that vision. And for professionals, when we talk about this vision, that's really something that you need to share with a student and family. You really need to value and respect the vision that a family has for their student and that the student has for themselves. So I want to talk a little bit about this thing that we call transformational change. You know, we build up walls and barriers that make change really difficult. There's a pretty traditional way that we think about supporting individuals with disabilities, and we all need to see that it doesn't have to be traditional. It doesn't have to be this choice or that choice. And transformational change isn't, it's not just about fine-tuning something or about making things a little bit better. It's about really changing the way you think about disability, the way you think about supporting people, and the way you think about what a person's life can look like. What are the possibilities? So in order to really experience transformational change, we need to really transform, right? The way we plan, the way we perceive things, and ultimately the way we behave. And this process is different for everyone. This isn't for a lot of people easy. I know that, and you'll see my son's life course tools in a little while to sort of see where he was and where he is now. But when you're a special needs parent, of course, first of all, I would say change is scary. Safety is scary. What the world is going to be like for our loved one is scary. And I know my my first instinct was make sure that Michael is safe and happy. And that was all I cared about. As long as he's safe and happy, I was good. And then I really went through a transformational change, realizing that, well, he does have to be safe and happy, but he also has to live a really great life. And I had to be the one that drove that life, that drove the plan, that drove the change, and that I was the one that had to lead everybody to this way of thinking. And I really did have to work on a lot of people that were involved in Michael's life. Professionals that worked with him directly, including teachers and therapists and individuals from the school district and from the school that he was going to. And I really had to show them that we had a vision and that we needed to engage in opportunities and activities that supported Michael's vision, and that we needed a different choice. I think, we needed more than just, well, is he going to go to a day program, or is he going to go to a workshop, or is he going to go, to college? Is he ready and able to go to college and take that route? And Michael didn't fall into any of those categories. So what do you do when you're in between? And that's where this transformational change really took place. And this is something that we really work on when we're working with families and their teams, their IEP team, their ISP team, which is an individual support plan. When your IEP days are over, I hate to say it, but there's more of those plans to make. So this is what I knew we needed to happen before Michael transitioned, and as we built his plan to move out of school and into his adult life. So we're going to go back to this in a little while. Why is this so important? I think that this is something that a lot of people don't realize, and that is that in Pennsylvania, we've got roughly about 58,000 people that receive intellectual disability and autism services. And only about 18,000 of those individuals live in residential settings, so in a group home or in a private facility. Most individuals that are receiving services live in the community, and they're supported to some degree by their family or those thought of as family. So it's really important for families, for individuals, and for professionals to realize that we need to get our loved ones ready for the world, ready for their community, ready to live, love, work, play, right, and learn in their community as their adult life goes forward. So I like to show this piece because I don't think a lot of people realize it, and I think that it helps the professional world really value our vision. Over 58% of parents or caregivers spend more than 40 hours a week providing support to their loved ones. And 40% of those spend more than 80 hours a week. So family caregivers are really, really important and pivotal. And that's why we have the community of practice, because we need to be able to support families so that we can keep supporting our loved ones. And we need to all work together, right, for all of these individuals so that there's better opportunities and there's better possibilities. The community of practice, I'll just touch on really briefly, is a national community of practice. There's about 20 3 states right now that are part of the community of practice for supporting families. Pennsylvania joined this community of practice in 2016. When we joined is when they formed the PA Family Network, our program, as one of the prongs to their multi-pronged approach to looking at how they were going to support families in PA. They created regional collaboratives across Pennsylvania, so sort of smaller satellites of this community of practice in each of the counties in Pennsylvania, so that a county could really look at what their needs were, what their family support needs were, are in their area, right? Our families in Philadelphia are not going to have the same needs as our families in Erie, right? So these smaller community practices really are beneficial. They also support a self-advocates organization. Self-Advocates United is one. They've engaged with the PA Sibling Initiative, and of course, this person-centered concept of life course, which is what we're going to talk a little bit more about as we go on. So who is the PA Family Network? We are all family members. I have family advisors across Pennsylvania in each of the areas, Southeast, Northeast, West, and Central. Everyone brings a different experience or journey to the table. I have some advisors that have younger children, some have transition age, some have adults or even older adults, different diagnoses. They're just traveling different journeys so that we can really pull our experience together and help families, whether they have an aging adult with Down syndrome or a 5-year-old with autism. We pull from everyone's experience and we try to match families up with an advisor that is really following as close a journey as possible to the family, so that they can really understand the challenges and they can really provide the resources and the information and the experiences that a family needs in a mentoring situation. So what do? We have workshops. Now they're all virtual. I hope we're going to go back to some kind of in-person workshops at some point. But for now, we have workshops every week, twice a week, every week. And if you go on Pennsylvania Family Network on Facebook, you can always see the events that are coming up. We do workshops on the life course principles and how to use them to problem solve and plan. We do workshops on community safety, which is, one of those barriers that we have thrown up for us as our kids age out of school and into adult life. Safety in the community is really, really difficult and scary. We also do a workshop around healthy relationships and sexuality, another piece. It's very scary and throws up barriers to really having an everyday life out in your community. We do a workshop on planning for the future, long-term planning, what you need to put in place for the time when we're not here to support our loved one, and how do we succession plan for the next caregiver. We also do a transition workshop, which is actually applying the life course framework to transition and really showing you how to build those tools, build those life course tools around the resources that are available for transition age students and how to make that transition plan. And you can actually use what you come out of to inform your ISP or your transition plan in your ISP. I think that's all of them. There might be another one. But we can also use the planning and problem solving workshop to help somebody prepare for that IEP transition plan and for the individual support plan that you're looking at as you go into adult services. And if you are going to use the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, OVR, it can also be used to plan for the individual employment plan. So got a lot of uses. And, you know, part of what we want to impart on families is that it's not a tool that's just for one thing. You can use it for a long-term plan, a short-term plan, a specific goal, whatever you need it to do. We can really assist you in making that happen. So that's the other thing that we do at the PA Family Network is we mentor families and individuals with disabilities one-to-one. We can work with your family and your loved one to make this plan, to use these tools, to understand these principles for planning and for problem solving. We can also do small group mentoring. So if you have a group of parents, maybe you have, you know, a circle of friends and you have special needs or, you know, disabled young adults, we can work with a small group of you. Or what we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes is a team mentoring approach and how that can really get everybody on board to understand that vision, to value that vision, and to plan towards that vision. So I think I already talked a little bit about this, but you know, what we bring to Life Course and to mentoring and to planning is the lived family experience. So when we are looking at Life Course and we're looking at safety in the community or an ISP or an IEP, we're looking through the lens of lived family experience. And I think that's really helpful. I think it's really important to have somebody by your side that's helping you plan from a family perspective. We know really what reality is and we know what life looks like outside of the four walls of, you know, a school or a day program or, you know, any kind of set program. So I already told you what our workshops are. And I think I got them all. That was pretty good. That was a good test. And again, if you go to our website at Vision for Equality, or you go on our Facebook page, you can find these. We are holding all of these workshops now. We hold 2 a week. We hold 1 during the day and 1 in the evening so that we make sure that we can work with people's schedules. And we try to make them as convenient as possible. So just a little bit about Life Course. I think one of the most important things that we can talk about when we talk about the Life Course framework is people exist in the context of their family. So when we talk about supporting families and we talk about making plans, we really have to look at a family system and a family cycle. We have to look at what the context of that person is in their family and what stage is that family in. You know, we all have different roles and responsibilities within our families. And as life goes on, our roles change. Parents' roles change, kids' roles change. So when we plan and when anybody plans with us, we have to take into consideration the family systems and cycles and where they are and where that individual falls and what their roles and responsibilities are at that time. there's, we all have people in our life that, that care for us, and we have people in our life that care about us, and it's important to have both. So when we look at this family system, we really have to look at who are the people that care about somebody, the people that are in it for good, the people that are in it whether there's a paycheck or no paycheck, right? The people that hold the family traditions and the family history, the people that are going to be there no matter what. And then there's people that care for us. Those people are usually paid caregivers, professionals or therapists, or still professionals, but a lot of different people with a lot of different roles, but they're there because they're paid to be there. And we have to make sure that everybody has people that care for and people that care about, and that we're not just filling a person's life with paid staff. That happens really easily, excuse me. So we have to really be mindful of that when we're planning and we're looking at families. So I talked a little bit about mentoring earlier. One of the things that the Family Network does, and you know, we involve the individual as much as we can, and again, it helps us understand the context of the family to the individual. Family is not always blood. Sometimes it's people that are thought of as family. And then our family advisor. And it's really a lot of give and take. The family advisor is not there to fix anything. They're there to facilitate the conversation. They're there to guide the conversation, and they're there to help you make the plan, help you see the possibilities, and understand how to get it to a place where we can get you moving, and we can get the other people that are going to touch your life and your loved one's life on board. So that's just a really, it's the main relationship is the family advisor, the individual and their family. We try to match advisors both geographically and by a situation. So I may have somebody out in the Western region that needs mentoring from us, and I just don't have anybody in the Western region that understands the situation or is, you know, is living that same kind of experience. So we will go outside of the geographic area to make sure that we can match a family up well. And then we may team up an advisor geographically so that we can find out what local resources are as well. So the bottom line to that is we're pretty flexible, and we just do whatever the family needs us to do at the time. We hold individual or group meetings to help the family build that life course portfolio. When the portfolio is built, it really is a plan that can be executed, but they are living documents. They can be tweaked and updated and changed as often as you need to. And we really encourage that, and we encourage you to make sure that there's people contributing to that plan that will help you really to keep everybody on board with what you're doing. So we help families navigate the systems. We can help you understand the Office of Developmental Programs if you are going to need post graduation adult services. It's a complicated system. We can help families understand how to register with your county, what the system looks like, what your next steps are, what waivers are, what kind of services that are out there. We can help you make connections to other families and resources. and also help connect you to the goods and services that you really need to move forward. And that might not be a waiver, might be something completely different, but whatever that is, we're there to we're there to get you those resources. So I want to talk a little bit about the team mentoring concept, which we really love, and I love it for transition planning. I think it's really a useful tool to get everybody at the table. You know, I think I've experienced a lot of IEP meetings, both for my own family and for families that I've worked with over the years that I've been in the field. And I think a lot of time is spent at the IEP meeting trying to figure out what we want, trying to figure out what is it that we're shooting for. I heard a lot of professionals say, you know, well, what do you want? You know, what are you going to, what is your son or daughter going to do? And it's hard to know that. You know, I know a lot of times we sit there and we go, well, I don't know. We just, you know, we're here so that we can all talk about this. So what are the possibilities? And you get very few answers where that's concerned. So if you can come to this meeting, bring this team together, whoever it might be, people from your teacher, your therapist at school, might be OVR. You may have you may already have a supports coordinator from your county autism and ID office. There might be a special coach that's been really important to a student at school, or really understanding. There might be a music teacher if music is something that's important to the individual. You may have a TSS, you may have some support staff that has been really helpful and really pivotal in that school experience. There may be a counselor. Whoever it is, we can bring them to this table around your loved one and around you and talk about this plan, talk about what the vision is, talk about what kind of resources and supports we have, and talk about what are the possibilities, and get those possibilities down on paper so that we actually can lay out a plan that can be transitioned or translated into the IEP and ultimately into the ISP in adult services, into that individual supports plan. And when you bring everybody together and you bring all of the information that each person has about your loved one and what you and your loved one bring to the table, you can really come up with a great plan. And what you end up with is something that has a lot of buy-in, because you've brought together everyone to contribute. You can talk about transformational change at this meeting and bring everybody along for that change. When we talk about transformational change, I often say probably what I hear the most is, Becky wants to be a veterinarian and that's not going to happen. And you know what? Maybe it's not, probably, right? But why do we have to focus on the fact that you think it's not going to happen? Why can't we focus on, well, let's get her as close as possible? Why does Becky want to be a veterinarian? Is it because she loves animals? Well, let's look at the possibilities then. Can we get her a job with a veterinarian? Can we get her a job at a pet store? Can we, if working is not in her vision, can we talk about some volunteer opportunities? Can we talk about maybe volunteering at the shelter and going in to walk dogs or play with the cats? what is it about being a veterinarian does Becky really want? Let's stop telling her you can't do that. And let's figure out how we get her close, right? We hear that too much. And I'm not telling anybody to go out and say, yep, you're going to be a veterinarian, no problem, we got it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying let's dig deeper and let's look at what this is somebody's vision. So let's figure out how we get them closer as close, right, as they want to be. And sometimes it's just as simple as that little bit of a deeper dive with everybody in the same place and everybody on the same page, and everybody working towards the same goal instead of fighting against it. Really valuable to get this team together and to see what kind of magic you can work. It really, we have seen some incredible things come out of these kinds of mentoring sessions. And sometimes we're able to pick out maybe somebody that is sort of holding up the works, right? Maybe there is that one person that keeps saying, no, but they can't. No, but they can't. We could bring them along as a team. And that's really, really important. And that's really valuable. So this is that trajectory and vision I've been telling you about. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So, what does that person want? Do they want to live in their own apartment? Do they want to be that veterinarian? Do they have friends? Do they want friends? Who is important to them in their family? And you've got to stay on that trajectory, right? You have to know what you're shooting for. You see that arrow? That's the trajectory arrow. But you also have to know what you don't want, right? And sometimes I hear, well, we don't want to focus on the negative. Well, we don't want to focus on the negative, but we do want to understand what we're trying to avoid. And that will help us to get to the vision of where we do want to be. You really have to have an understanding of what you do want and what you don't want, as a family and as an individual. And again, a lot of times we get people that say to us, well, my son or daughter's vision isn't the same as mine. Well, most of us don't have the same vision as our parents when we're teenagers, right? We work through that. So this is the trajectory. This is one of the tools that we use to plan. And what we are putting above in that green box, I hope it's coming across green, is what you want. What do you want out of life? Do you want to live on your own? Do you want to work in, do you want to go to college? Do you want to work in, the automotive field? Whatever it is. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to work? Where do you want to volunteer? Right? We have to think about all of the life domains that we live in our everyday life, right? Where do you work? Where do you live? Where do you socialize? What do you do for fun? What do you do? Do you go to church? Do you have hobbies? How do you stay safe and healthy? Those are all parts of this vision and what you want. So you have to think about each of those life domains, which again is something that we help with, is looking at each of the life domains and knowing that we need to have a goal sort of in each of those areas to have to live the life we want to live. And what don't we want? Maybe it's you don't want congregate care. Maybe you don't want to be isolated or lonely. Whatever that is, we've got to know how to plan to stay away from that. What we use the left side for, and I'm going to move forward. This is my son's trajectory. What we use the left side of this trajectory for is opportunities and experiences. So on the top left, we've got the things that we need to engage in that are going to get us to this vision, to get us to this life that we want. And then down below here, we've got some of the experiences that we've had in our life that were taking us away from that vision and taking us into a place that we don't want to be, right? So you've got to know what you've done that needs to change in order to get to where you want to be. So you have to at least acknowledge it. In 2016, when my son was, I guess this is like 17 to 19 really, when this all kind of unfolded. He had fantastic services. He had a lot of therapy. He had an IEP that would blow your socks off. It had everything that he needed under the sun. He had lots of ABA. He had lots of learning experiences. He had a lot of instructional time. But what he didn't have were a lot of everyday experiences. He was safe, and he was in a great school for individuals with autism, but he was very isolated. He had great experiences in school, but he wasn't having job experiences that a 17 or 18-year-old should be having. He had a lot of paid relationships. He had a lot of therapists, a lot of TSS, a lot of teachers, a lot of consultants. He spent his summers in extended school year. And I think that's what really sort of was the grab for me, was I looked at his age and I thought about my older son, and I realized, gosh, JT was not spending his summer in extended school year. He was having his first job experience when he was 17 in the summer. And if I really want Michael, whoops, sorry about that, went backwards. If I really want Michael up here to have a job that he loves, then we better start having some first job experiences. And I had to figure out what that looked like for Michael, because he really have a lot of functional language. One of his go-to behaviors is putting his head through windows. He's a tough guy. So I really had to figure out how I was going to make this work. And it was through using the Life Course framework and making that plan that we figured out how to get him his first job experience. And 5 years later, he still has it. He has maintained it. He only works a few hours a week. He works 2 afternoons, 2 hours, but he loves it and he's good at it, and he goes and he's dependable. And when he's not there, they miss him. And that's the litmus test. When he's not there, there's people saying, where's Michael? And they're not saying, where's Michael's mom? They're not saying, where's Francine? They're saying, where's Michael? Because Michael folds boxes like a madman, and they need their boxes. And they really depend on him for that. So to be missed in the community, in an integrated job in the community, supported by community members, is huge. Michael still has staff that's with him all the time, and they take him to work, but they know when to step back. They know when to let the owner or the waitresses guide Michael. So they're there for health and safety, but it's still a community experience. And the relationship that Michael has is Michael's relationship with his employer. It is not the staff's relationship with the employer. It's not my relationship with the employer. It's Michael's. Michael did not come and say to me one day, Mom, I want a job I love. But what Michael loves is going to the beach every summer. He loves to buy trains. He loves to buy RC cars. And if Michael is going to keep up his hobbies and go the places that he loves to go, he loves hotels, then he's going to have some money, and he's going to have a way to earn that money. So that's thoughtful guessing. So if Michael's going to do these other things on his vision that he loves, he's got to have a job. And he should love it, right? We should love our job. So that's how A Job I Love ended up on this trajectory. But this was the turning point for Michael. This is when we said, I know he gets exercise at the gym in gym class, but we're going to join the gym in the community so people get to know him. And he's really a great artist. He can draw, and we contacted the local theater to see if he could draw for them. They stuck him on stage, and it's just amazing what he's done on stage. That's a whole different presentation in itself. But we actually can support him in a way that he's been on a lot of shows. So the possibilities are sort of endless. Once you put this vision in place and you know what you're shooting for, and you don't hold back because of what you perceive as limitations, or what the safety that you're worried about, and maybe the exploitation, or all the things that we're concerned about as family members. When you put all that aside and you just focus on the person and what a good life might look like for them, it's amazing the possibilities that you come up with. And then when we use the rest of the tools in the life course framework to really figure out how to get it done, it's just amazing what unfolds. I knew Michael needed a first job experience. I didn't know what that was going to be, or where it was going to be, or how it was going to happen. But I went to our integrated support star, and I dug in, and I found and pieced together the resources I needed to find him this opportunity. And it's worked out really wonderfully. So he still has services, but his life is full of everyday experiences and opportunities and excitement. And it's supported by the services that he still continues to need. But he is a pretty fulfilled young adult. And he's just so much happier. I know what goes on his vision, not because he can really tell me, but his behaviors, which I know a lot of you can relate to. His behaviors tell me what he loves. I know Michael's happy place is the shore. I know Michael loves hotels. I know how he acts when he's at a hotel. I know what he looks like, when he drives by a hotel. So, we have to look at those things, and then we have to figure out and thoughtfully guess for some of our loved ones. What does that look like? What does that good life look like for our loved ones that we support that are verbal and do know more about what they want? We need to support what they want and get them as close as possible. Like I said, it might not be the veterinarian, but we're going to figure out what it is that makes them want it. And we're going to put it on their vision, and we're going to get them as close as we can. I had a professional, I believe she was a teacher, come up to me at the transition conference 2 summers ago. And she came up to the table. We were in the resource area at the conference, and she came up to me at the table and well-intentioned, said, I'm really happy that you're here. I don't know what to do with families who have unrealistic expectations. And I basically said, get out of their way. Get out of their way. Outcomes are not, there is research that supports this, that outcomes are not all about the transition plan. They're not all about the services. They're not all about the IEP. They're about the expectations that we have for a person. Keep the expectations high. Let's shoot high. We're not going to get anywhere that we want to be if we don't at least try. So that was my answer, was just get out of their way, and let them soar. And wherever they end up, but we can't get in people's way. So with a lot of collaboration and creativity and person and family centered thinking and planning, we can all share in a vision for a person, and that's how we end up with an everyday life. That's how we end up with a rich vision that's valued by everybody in a person's life. And that makes for a pretty good life, I would say. This is a little bit about our outreaches. I'm not going to go there. These are the life course tools, which, like I said, we've got a whole other presentation for. But this is most important, how you can reach us to talk about how we can help you with your transition plan, how we can help you make your transition plan, and how we can help you translate that to your school transition plan or to your ISP, IEP, for wherever you are in that journey. So 844-PA-FAMILY. You can email us at pafamilynetwork@visionforequality.org. You can find us on Facebook at Pennsylvania Family Network, and same for Twitter. So I hope that if there's anything we can do for you, that you reach out to us. We are supported by the Office of Developmental Programs. So this does not cost families anything. And we're happy to do whatever we can do to help your transition go smoothly. And I want to leave a couple of minutes here for some questions, if we have any. I don't know if Ronnie, are you manning the box?
Yeah. So the first one is, Michael was blessed to have a parent who advocates. How can we support the students that do not have a parent who does this?
Well, it doesn't have to be about blood family, right? It's about who an individual thinks of as family, who is there to support the person. So pull together whoever's supporting them and participate in the same kind of planning. You can still reach out to us. We can help you pull together, a circle of support. Everybody needs that circle of support. It may not have, that traditional mom and dad or, that traditional person that advocates, but we can certainly pull together a circle of support and put a plan into place for an individual.
Great. The next question is, do the family's child have to be a specific age to be able and eligible to contact the family network?
Nope. It's at any age, birth through aging. We have very young ones that are transitioning into 0 to 3 early intervention. And we have individuals that are collecting Social Security at 70 years old.
Okay. The next one is actually two-part here. I'll put two questions together. Does the family network only work with individuals with ID or autism, or will they work with any individual with a disability? And is there a cost for your services?
So we work with families who have an individual that are diagnosed with ID or autism, and if they're young and they haven't been diagnosed, but they likely are looking at a diagnosis, we can help. There is no cost for that. Again, it's funded through the Office of Developmental Programs. And did you ask something about waiver?
Is there a cost? And will you work with any student with a disability?
Yeah, so ID and autism. So even if, even if there's a Down syndrome diagnosis, but there's some ID there or some autism tendencies, we can help. We can be pretty flexible. I think there was is there another question? I thought there was something about waiver.
Let's see here. So I think they might have tied that into the money cost. Hang on one second here. Waiver wouldn't be available until after leaving school.
No, waiver is actually birth to death. Waivers are available at any age, under age 8. If there's, as long as there's they're presumed that they will be diagnosed, you're covered. So as soon as there's any issue, you can apply for waiver in Pennsylvania. If you have more questions about that, you can definitely contact us. That is popular belief. And the reason why it's confusing is because there are some pediatric benefits that are covered under 21 that overlap with waiver. If it's one of those services you need, then the under 21 services would cover it. But there's also additional services that waiver covers that would not be covered under the other services. So you can get waiver under 21.
Great.
Yep.
I'm not seeing any other questions. We'll wait here a minute or two to see if anyone else wants to type something into the Q&A for Francine.
This is great. I'm so glad we were able to do this.
To Francine, I'm not seeing any other questions right now, but I know folks have your contact information.
Absolutely.
And if there's anything else that you'd like to add or
No, I think we're just about at time. We'll give people back 3 minutes of their life.
all right. And Hillary, anything else from you?
No, I just wanted to again thank Francine for pinch hitting on the fly today.
That's okay.
And for sharing with us a really great resource that's available to families, again, at no cost to support their loved ones. And birth to death is the trajectory. So there are additional resources on the Patent website about the life course framework. We've done the Community on Transition webinar series 2 years ago, and we have some resources on the website that talk a little bit further about how to use the tools in the life course framework to support IEP team development. We did that with the Office of Developmental Programs. So thank you to Francine, and thank you to everybody for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much, everyone.